Breaking news, pioneers. They thought the core team was doing nothing. They thought the silence meant Pi Network was dead in the water. They couldn't have been more wrong. While everyone was complaining about mainnet delays and arguing in the comments, Dr. Nicholas and the team were working behind closed doors on something absolutely massive. We're not talking about another partnership announcement or some vague promise. We're talking about cold, hard cash being invested into a company that's about to change everything we thought we knew about Pi Network's future. Pi Network Ventures just put real money down to invest in an entire gaming platform called CiDi Games. This isn't a handshake deal. This is the core team betting their own resources on a strategy that could make your PiCoins more valuable than you ever imagined. And what I'm about to show you explains why this single move might be the most important thing that's happened to Pi Network since the project started. But before we get into the details, you need to understand something crucial about what this really means. Welcome back, pioneers. I'm Nathan, and today we're breaking down the announcement that dropped on November 26th that has the potential to completely change the trajectory of this project. Before we move any further, I want to give a huge welcome to Pi pioneers from every corner of the globe. Whether you're tuning in from the bustling streets of New York, the colorful markets of India, the growing cities of Nigeria, the innovative hubs of the Philippines, or anywhere else in our incredible Pi family, this moment belongs to all of us. Right now, let's show the true power of our worldwide Pi network. Drop a comment saying Pi Network to the moon and your country name. Let's paint this comment section with every nation on Earth. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a massive update. Now, let's dive into something absolutely huge. So, let me start with the basics, because a lot of people are confused about what actually happened here. Pi Network didn't just announce another app in the ecosystem. They officially announced a strategic partnership and an investment in a company called CiDi Games. Now, when I say investment, I mean Pi Network Ventures, which is the official investment arm of the core team, actually put money into this company. That's a completely different level of commitment than what we've seen before. Who is CiDi Games? This is where it gets interesting. They're not building just one game like Angry Birds or Candy Crush. They're building an entire H5 game platform inside the Pi ecosystem. Think of it like Steam for PC games or the App Store for mobile games, except this platform is specifically designed for casual games that millions of people can play instantly without downloading anything. It's browser-based, it's easy to access, and most importantly, it's built to run on Pi. Now, here's what makes this different from every other gaming partnership announcement we've seen in crypto. The core team used their venture capital fund to invest in this company. They didn't just sign a piece of paper and say, hey, you can build on our blockchain. They put their own money on the line. That tells you everything you need to know about how serious they are about this strategy. They're betting that gaming is the key to mass adoption, and they're willing to back that bet with real capital. But the investment is only half the story, and what they're planning to do with this platform is even bigger. Let me read you the exact language from the official announcement because the words matter here. According to the Pi Network blog, Pi will serve as the core medium for payments, transactions, and incentives within the CiDi Games platform. Do you understand what that means? This is the utility everyone has been screaming about for years. Every time someone complained that Pi has no use case, this is the answer. Every time someone said, what can I actually do with my Pi? This is what the core team was building toward. Let's break down exactly how this works in practice. Say you're playing a game on the CiDi platform. You want to buy a new character skin to customize your avatar. You pay with Pi. You want to unlock a premium level or get access to special content. You pay with Pi. And it goes both ways. When you play games, complete challenges, or achieve certain milestones, you earn rewards. Those rewards, paid in Pi. This creates a complete economic cycle. 50 million pioneers suddenly have a reason to use their Pi every single day. They're not just holding it, hoping the price goes up.
They're actively spending it, earning it, and circulating it through a real economy. Every single transaction creates demand for PiCoins. Every purchase takes Pi out of circulation temporarily. Every reward puts Pi back into the hands of active users who are likely to spend it again. But here's where most people are missing the bigger picture, and this is crucial to understanding why the core team invested in CiDi specifically.
CiDi isn't just building games for themselves. According to the announcement, they're creating an open framework of tools and APIs. What does that mean in normal language? It means other game developers, people who have nothing to do with CiDi, can easily plug their own games into this platform and automatically accept Pi as payment. They're building the infrastructure, the pipes, the foundation that lets anyone in the gaming industry connect to Pi Network without having to figure out all the technical blockchain stuff themselves. Imagine you're a small game developer. You've got a fun, casual game, but you don't know anything about cryptocurrency or blockchain technology. In the past, integrating crypto payments would be complicated, expensive, and risky. But with CiDi's platform, you just use their tools, and suddenly your game can accept Pi. You get access to millions of potential players who already have Pi in their wallets and are looking for places to spend it. That's a massive incentive for developers to build on this platform. This is how you create a network effect. One gaming platform becomes 2, becomes 10, becomes 100. Each new game brings new players. Each new player increases demand for Pi. Each increase in demand makes it more valuable for the next developer to integrate Pi into their game. It's a flywheel that feeds itself. And once it starts spinning, it becomes almost impossible to stop. But this raises the question everyone's thinking about, and I know some of you are already typing this in the comments. How does this actually affect the price of Pi? How does a gaming platform get us anywhere close to the GCV that people talk about? Let me put this in perspective with real numbers. The global gaming market generates over $300 billion in revenue every year. That's bigger than the movie industry and music industry combined. And here's the really important part. Most of that money doesn't come from people buying games anymore. It comes from microtransactions, small purchases inside games. $1 here for extra coins, $5 there for a special item, $10 for a battle pass or premium skin. These seem like tiny amounts, but they add up to hundreds of billions of dollars because millions of people are making these purchases every single day. Now, imagine even a fraction of that activity happening with Pi as the currency. Imagine millions of players around the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, buying $1 items, $5 upgrades, $10 cosmetics, all paid in Pi. That creates constant buying pressure. Every time someone wants to make a purchase, they need Pi. If they don't have enough Pi, they need to get more. That means they either earn it by playing more games or they need to acquire it some other way. As more games launch and more players join the platform, the demand for Pi keeps increasing. But the supply of Pi is fixed. There's a maximum number of PiCoins that can ever exist, and a huge portion of those are already locked up in people's wallets. When you have increasing demand hitting a fixed supply, basic economics tells you what happens next. The price has to go up. It's not magic, it's not speculation, it's simple supply and demand. And this is just gaming. We're not even talking about all the other utility that Pi Network is building. We're not talking about KYC'd users being able to use Pi for e-commerce, for services, for real-world transactions. Gaming is just one piece, but it's the piece that could drive more daily transactions than everything else combined.
The skeptics will say this is all hype. They'll say gaming coins never work. They'll point to failed projects and say Pi is going to be the same. But here's what they're missing. And this is the part that makes Pi different from every other gaming cryptocurrency that's ever been tried.
Most gaming cryptocurrencies start with the coin and then try to find games to use it. They're starting with the solution and looking for a problem. Pi is doing the opposite. Pi already has 50 million users, 50 million people who have been earning Pi for years and are desperately looking for places to spend it. CiDi isn't trying to convince people to download a wallet and buy a new token. They're plugging into an existing economy with millions of ready-made customers who already have the currency and are waiting to use it. That's the difference between success and failure in this space. You need the users first, then the utility. Pi has been building the user base for years, while everyone called it a scam. Now they're rolling out the utility, while those same critics are still trying to figure out what happened. But there's something even more important in this announcement that most people completely missed. The announcement specifically states that initial testing of the CiDi Games platform begins in Q1 2026. That's January through March of next year. We're talking about just a few months from now. This isn't some vague promise of coming soon or in development. We have a specific timeline, Q1 2026. That's the target. Now, what does testing mean? It means the platform is already built. They're not starting development. They're not in the planning phase. They're ready to launch beta testing with real users. That tells you how far along this project actually is. While everyone thought the core team was sitting around doing nothing, they were building this entire infrastructure in secret. The partnerships were being finalized, the investment deals were being signed, the technology was being developed, and now it's ready to go live. But here's what nobody's talking about, and this is where the timeline gets really interesting. Testing in Q1 2026 means full launch probably happens sometime in mid-2026. Let's say April or May. That gives the core team a few months to work out any bugs, onboard the first wave of game developers, and prepare the marketing push. By summer 2026, you could have millions of pioneers playing games and spending Pi every single day. Now think about what else might be happening around that same time. The open mainnet has been delayed multiple times, but most estimates put it somewhere in 2026 as well. What if the gaming platform launches right around the same time as open mainnet? What if the core team deliberately timed these two events to happen together? You'd have a massive gaming economy going live at the exact moment that Pi becomes freely tradable on external exchanges. The demand from gaming would hit the market right when Pi starts trading. That's not a coincidence. That's strategy. Let me paint you a picture of what this could look like. It's May 2026. Open mainnet launches, and Pi starts trading on major exchanges. At the same time, CiDi Games platform goes live with dozens of games accepting Pi. Millions of pioneers who have been holding Pi for years suddenly have real places to spend it. They're buying items, unlocking content, earning rewards. The games are fun, they're easy to play, and your friends are all playing them too. Word spreads. People who never heard of Pi Network see their friends playing these games and getting paid in some digital currency. They get curious. They download the app, they start earning Pi. Now they're playing the games too. The network effect kicks in. Within months, you could have a fully functional gaming economy processing millions of transactions per day. Each transaction proves that Pi has real utility. Each transaction creates demand. Each transaction brings more users into the ecosystem. And this is just the beginning, because gaming is just the first domino. But we need to talk about something that concerns some people, and I want to address it directly. Some pioneers are worried that gaming will somehow cheapen Pi. They think turning Pi into a gaming currency makes it less serious or less valuable. They want Pi to be used for serious business transactions, not for buying skins in casual games. I understand that concern, but I think it misses the point completely. Gaming isn't the end goal. Gaming is the Trojan horse. It's the way you get hundreds of millions of normal people comfortable using cryptocurrency without them even realizing they're using cryptocurrency. Think about how most people got comfortable with digital payments.
They didn't wake up one day and decide to study financial technology. They just wanted to buy something online, or send money to a friend, or pay for a ride. The technology disappeared into the background and became invisible. That's what gaming does for Pi. Someone downloads a game because it looks fun. They play it and earn some Pi. They want to buy something in the game, so they spend their Pi. They don't think of themselves as using cryptocurrency. They're just playing a game. But behind the scenes, they're participating in a blockchain economy. They're making real transactions. They're creating real economic value. And once they're comfortable with that, once using Pi feels natural and normal, then they start thinking about other uses. Maybe they use Pi to buy something online. Maybe they send Pi to a friend. Maybe they start accepting Pi for their own business. Gaming is the gateway drug to mass adoption. It's how you go from 50 million pioneers to 500 million users. And once you have 500 million people using Pi every day, the serious businesses start paying attention. The merchants start accepting it. The investors start taking it seriously. The entire economy builds itself from there. But none of that happens without that first step, without making Pi easy and fun and natural to use. That's what CiDi Games provides. Now let's talk about what this means for the price, specifically because I know that's what everyone really wants to know. Will this make Pi moon? Will this get us to the famous GCV? Will this finally prove the doubters wrong? Here's what I can tell you with confidence. Utility drives value. That's not speculation, that's economic fact. The more useful something is, the more people want it. The more people want it, the more valuable it becomes. Right now, Pi's value is largely theoretical. People hold it because they believe it will be valuable someday. But with the gaming platform, Pi's value becomes practical and immediate. You need Pi to play games. You need Pi to buy items. You need Pi to participate in this economy. Let's do some very rough math just to understand the scale. Say the platform launches with 50 games at first. Say each game has an average of 10,000 active players. That's 500,000 people playing Pi games. Now say each player spends an average of $5 worth of Pi per month on in-game purchases. That's $2.5 million of Pi transactions every month just from gaming. Over a year, that's $30 million of transaction volume. And that's with conservative numbers for just the launch phase. Now what happens when the platform grows to 100 games, 200? What happens when instead of 10,000 players per game, you have 100,000 or a million? The transaction volume could easily reach hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars per year. To support that level of economic activity with a fixed supply of coins, the price per coin has to increase substantially. There's no way around it. Now, does that mean we're guaranteed to hit $314,000 per Pi? I'm not going to make that promise because nobody can predict exact prices. But what I will say is that the path to significant value becomes much clearer when you have real utility driving real demand. And gaming provides more consistent, daily demand than almost any other use case. People might buy a car once every few years, but they play games every day. They make micro purchases constantly. That steady stream of demand is worth more than occasional large purchases because it's reliable and predictable. Here's another angle most people aren't considering. Right now, most crypto gaming projects are pay to play. You have to invest money up front to buy characters or items before you can even start playing. That's a huge barrier to entry. Most people don't want to risk their money on a game they've never tried. But with Pi, millions of users already have Pi from mining. They can start playing and spending immediately without putting up any new money. That makes the barrier to entry almost zero. Free to start, easy to play, fun to engage with. That's how you achieve mass adoption. But the really exciting part is what comes after gaming.
Once the infrastructure exists for gaming, that same infrastructure can be used for everything else. The payment systems, the wallet integrations, the user experience design, all of that gets built for gaming and then gets reused for e-commerce, for services, for peer-to-peer transactions, for everything. Gaming is just the first test case, the proof of concept that shows the technology works at scale. Once it's proven with games, every other industry becomes easier to onboard.
Imagine online retailers seeing that millions of people are successfully buying things with Pi in games. They start thinking, why not accept Pi in our stores too? Imagine service providers seeing the low transaction fees and fast settlement times. They start thinking, why not use Pi instead of credit cards? Imagine freelancers and contractors seeing people earn Pi through games. They start thinking, why not get paid in Pi for our work? Each success builds on the previous one until Pi becomes a normal part of everyday digital life. That's the vision. That's what the core team has been building toward. And the CiDi Games investment is the first major piece of that vision coming to life. It's not the end, it's the beginning. But you have to start somewhere, and gaming is the perfect starting point because it's fun, it's accessible, and it creates immediate value for users. People will play games even if they're not thinking about investment returns or economic theory. They just want to have fun. And while they're having fun, they're building the economy that makes Pi valuable. So what should you do as a pioneer right now? First, understand that we're still in the early stages. Testing doesn't start until Q1 2026. That gives you months to keep mining, keep completing KYC if you haven't already, and keep preparing for what's coming. Don't panic. Don't make rash decisions. Just stay patient and stay informed. Second, start thinking about how you'll use the gaming platform when it launches. Are you going to be a player who earns Pi? Are you going to be a spender who buys items? Are you going to be someone who does both? Understanding your own strategy helps you make better decisions about how much Pi to hold and how much to circulate. Third, pay attention to the announcements coming in the next few months. If testing starts in Q1 2026, we'll probably see more details in January or February. We'll learn which games are launching first. We'll see what the user experience looks like. We'll get our first real glimpse of how this economy actually functions. Stay tuned for those updates, because they'll tell you a lot about whether this is really going to work the way we hope. And finally, manage your expectations. This is a massive step forward, but it's not magic. Building a successful gaming platform takes time. There will be bugs, there will be challenges. There will be games that succeed and games that fail. That's normal. What matters is the overall trajectory, the bigger picture. If the platform launches and gains traction, even slowly at first, that's success. If transaction volume grows month over month, that's success. If more developers start building on the platform, that's success. Don't expect overnight miracles, but do expect steady progress. The bottom line is this: Pi Network just made one of the most significant strategic moves in its history. They invested real money into building real infrastructure that provides real utility. They're not just talking about adoption anymore. They're building the tools that make adoption possible. They're not just promising value, they're creating the economic conditions that drive value. And they're doing it with a specific timeline that puts us just months away from seeing the first results. Pioneers, the silence was never inaction. It was preparation. While everyone was complaining, the core team was building. While the critics were spreading doubt, the foundation was being laid. And now, we're starting to see what they were working on all this time. The gaming platform is just the first reveal. There are more announcements coming, more partnerships being finalized, more infrastructure being built. This is what the next phase of Pi Network looks like. And if you've been holding Pi and staying patient all this time, you're about to see why that patience might pay off. The road ahead is clear. Testing in Q1 2026. Full launch by mid-2026. Millions of transactions flowing through the platform. Real utility creating real demand. And a path forward that finally makes sense to everyone who's been asking what Pi is actually for. We're not there yet, but we can see the destination from here, and that changes everything. Stay focused, stay patient, and get ready. The game is about to begin.